Hello everyone, this is Mastermind F1 Manager back here for the second video on this new channel, which I'm very much looking forward to. So today we are going to be, this is going to be a video about the opening and final rounds about for the Bahrain Grand Prix event in F1 Manager. So I'm gonna, document some of my matches, see how it goes. I am live commenting this one, and also I'm gonna give some tips about how you can maximize your score in Grand Prix events. So as we start the race here, what I'm gonna do is the 4-2-2 strategy with Bottas. So 4 laps, mostly on green, but I do have like a boost, the downforce boost, which increases your tire management. So Bottas should be able to go 4 laps without too much difficulty. Perez has the hex boost, which gives him a lot of speed and speed in general and speed in the wet. Unfortunately, this is not a wet race, so it's not as great, but it is still a pretty powerful boost. But yeah, so as we get to the tips, of how to be good at a Grand Prix event. So first off, if you don't know what a Grand Prix event is, basically it is a tournament. Basically, a tournament that is in sync with the F1 events that are happening in real life. Obviously now it's not happening because of the F1 race cancellations due to the coronavirus, but that's not the point. A GP event is basically like a tournament. So there are 3 rounds in Grand Prix events. There is the qualifying round. You have to finish top 50% to get to the next round. Then after that is the opening round. I don't know why it's called the opening round, if it's the second round. And then you have to finish top 50% in the opening round to make it to the final round, which is what I am playing in right now. And as well as 3 rounds, there are also 3 different divisions. There is... Oh, I can't remember it off the top of my head. You probably know if you play the game, if you went onto the GP events tab. I'll look at that later in the video. But I know that the top division is contender, and obviously the higher divisions will have, higher ranked and more skilled players. So it will be harder to get a good score, and you obviously make it to the final round. But it will give much better prizes, so that is a good thing. So if you're a high-level player, you'll go into contender. If you're a lower-level player, then you'll go into the lower league, which, don't worry, I'll get the name for you guys once I am done this match. But let's just get back to here. So Bottas should have enough fuel to go on red for the rest of the race. Perez is just quite a ways back right now. Yeah, so that's Bottas in the pits. He definitely has enough fuel. I should probably put Perez on red. He has enough fuel also. I would say Bottas got the win in this one. Perez might be able to finish 4th or 3rd. I don't know. He was a bit back in qualifying, 10th place. So where do I start with the tips, I guess, for Grand Prix events? Let's get to that a bit later in the video, actually. Let's just finish this race first. So right now we have Bottas coming in for his final lap and Perez coming in for his final 2 laps. They've both made their respective stops. So I'll cut into you guys once then it's at the end of the race. So guys, Perez was able to just about catch and pass Hamilton and Vettel at the end there, so that was quite good by him. And yeah, that is a 1-2, full 47 points, which will be crucial because I'm looking right now and already the top 3 guys in my group have 470 points, which is a perfect score. It's very hard to get. I doubt I'm going to get it. Let's see if I can get top 10 though in my group. But yeah, that is the first match done. I won't cover all the matches, but I will do a decent amount of them. Alright guys, so welcome to the next race, and Now let's talk about how you can maximize your scores in Grand Prix events. So the first tip I have is to make sure that you pick your correct league. So like I mentioned earlier, there were 3 leagues, and don't worry, now I remember the name. So the lowest tier is Junior, the middle tier is Challenger, and the top tier is Contender. So as you would probably know, the lower leagues will obviously have lower level players, so it's easier to make it to the final round and, to get a better score because you're matched against easier competition. But obviously the prizes will be smaller, and it's opposite in the higher leagues. You're up against the best competition, the strongest players, people who have maxed parts and stuff. But then if you can do well, if you can make it in those leagues, like if you follow my advice, then you can win big and win a lot of prizes. I mean, like, literally the crates are insane. You can almost max an epic just from one drop. That's how crazy it is. So it definitely is worth participating in these Grand Prix events. It can be a great source of coins and definitely parts also, and boosts actually, which are equally as important. But where was I? So it's about picking your correct league. So obviously if you're a lower level player, like series 1, 2, 3, you're gonna want to go into what is it, why does it keep slipping out of my tongue? You're gonna want to go into the lowest league. I'm telling you guys, I'm still really bad at this. I'm not used to commentating on these games. Like, I just don't know how. I completely forgot the name. But you're gonna want to go in the lowest league. And this is because if you go, into too high of a league, obviously there are going to be better and higher prizes, but you're not going to get the prizes if you're not even good enough to make the final round. And then if you go too low of a league, you may, get first or second or something, but you won't be very impressed with the prizes. So that is the first tip that I have for you to maximize your score in Grand Prix events. But as we go to this race, it was quite an interesting one. I got out-qualified pretty badly, actually. But now it is actually rain on Baku, which I saw also in the opening round, which is something that I've actually never seen before. So it's gonna rain, but I'm gonna stay out for the next lap before I change onto wets. If you don't already know, it's ideal to change to the wet tires at around 30 or 40%. That's when the wet tires start to become faster than the dry tires. And don't worry, guys, I'm going to go through the next few tips in the next race. So just keep your... Oh, no. Grosjean's going to be really slow down this straight. I wasn't paying attention. And Perez is very low on fuel, but he is leading and he doesn't have to stop, so that's alright. Grosjean is doing alright on fuel. He might just make it on red. The rest of these guys are on soft tires, Vettel and Hamilton. But yeah, it looks like, I'm pretty sure that Grosjean will be able to catch them, so I will catch you guys at the end of the race. Alright guys, so I ended up finishing first and second as predicted. Both of my drivers ran out of fuel just before the finish. But yeah, managed to get a third straight 1 and 2 finish. So far I'm on maximum points, the perfect score. Let's see how long we can keep that going for. We started pretty low down this one, but we managed to recover. So I will see you guys at the start of the next race. Alright guys, so the next tip I have is to know your strategy beforehand, which will minimize the chance of mistakes. Like right now, I already know pretty much what my strategy is going to be. Like even as I'm talking to you guys, I've already planned it out before the race has even started. So basically, even before the Grand Prix event starts, you'll just want to look at, the list of the track that comes up and the percentage of rain. Especially, like for example, this race, 0% chance of rain, so I already know that it's going to be dry. I know that Bottas usually qualifies ahead of Perez. I guess it's because his consistency is slightly higher. I'm not exactly sure why. And then, yeah, I know that I'm going to put Bottas on a 4-2-2 strategy and Perez on a 3-3-2. So basically, knowing the strategy that you're going to do in the race beforehand, or at least planning multiple strategies, I guess, to prepare for certain events in qualifying. But basically, just make sure that you know your strategies before the race even starts. And this will minimize the chance of you panicking or selecting the wrong tires, or just making some sort of stupid mistake that can be easily prevented. Because in Grand Prix events, especially at the higher tiers, there is very little room for error, because it's very competitive. Like nowadays, to get top 10, you can't like drop like more than 5 points. Like you have to get at least 465 points, which means at least like first and third in almost every race, which is pretty ridiculous. So knowing the strategy beforehand, coming up with a plan before the race, will definitely minimize the chance of making mistakes that can be prevented. Obviously, if a driver has a breakdown, or he gets stuck behind a driver on the hard tires, which happens a lot, that's something that's out of your control. That's completely fine, but make sure that you control all the factors that you can control, and one of those includes your strategy, always picking the right strategy. And obviously on strategies, I will do a video on that in the future, so don't worry about that. That'll be coming up very soon. But Perez probably can't get past this guy. He's pitting this lap. Bottas is going to stay out for one more lap. And yeah, this brings me to my next point, which is to utilize boost. So boosts are a very important part of a Grand Prix events, and unlike regular duels, I wouldn't recommend wasting your boosts on regular duels. They're really just not needed for them. But for Grand Prix events, they are an absolute necessity, no matter what level in the game you are at. And this is because obviously it is very competitive. People are definitely going to use boost to try and maximize your score, so you should too. And make sure you know which boosts do which. So the two that I'm using now that most higher level players will have are the Hex Boost and the Downforce Boost. So the main thing that the Downforce Boost does is increases your tire management, so I can do strategies that drivers that weren't on boosts wouldn't normally be able to do. So for example, Bottas was able to do 4 laps on the soft tires, which wouldn't be possible if he didn't have that boost. Perez has the purple Hex Boost, which drastically increases your speed, overtaking, and wet weather ability. I mean, did you see that? Perez just got through those 3 cars very easily. That would not be possible if he did not have that boost. Some of the other boosts include Instinct, which is basically a slightly weaker Hex Boost, increases your speed, and also fuel management. I believe there's one that also increases fuel management. One slightly weaker one that increases just wet weather ability. So they are all there. So just look at the game, look for yourself to see all the boosts that are in the game, and definitely incorporate that into your strategy. Let's just pit Bottas now, actually. That might be a good idea. Where is everyone else in this race? I've been talking, I can't really keep track of it. Let's see. Yeah, I'm quite far behind. I've actually gotten the full points in all the first 4 races. It's not looking good in this one though. Bottas is way behind. 2 laps to go, but the lead 2 cars are on the soft tires, hard tires I mean. So we could catch them if we have a good race, but Perez probably will not get second place this time, unfortunately. But yeah, those are the 2 tips I have that I'm going to say in this race. Make sure that you know your strategy beforehand to minimize the chance of mistakes, and make sure you can utilize boosts properly, obviously making sure you know which ones do which, because you're going to have to use them if you want to get a really good score. Alright, so let's finish off this race. I won't cut to the end because we're basically at the end. We got a half a lap to go. This one will be close. Definitely will be close. I don't think Bottas will be able to catch. Oh, it's close. You see that silver Mercedes? Let's see. I think Bottas has got this one. And there you go. That is the pass. And Perez. That is Perez up into third place. Can he catch second place? There you go. That is second place for Sergio Perez. So yeah, this is not going too badly actually. Just that's 1-2 finishes, 47 points. So I am halfway to a perfect score. Let's see if I can keep this up. But yeah, guys, I will see you in the next race. Alright, so this is now race number 7, so I did not record races 5 and 6, but if you're wondering, I got 46 points in one of the races and 47 points, so it still is going pretty well for me. We only have 4 races to go, and I'm only 1 point away from a perfect score. I think that's the best I've ever done so far. But, just I was about to say that, and now Bottas, it was a wet qualifying, and Bottas was now qualified way down the order because he's absolutely terrible in the wet. But I guess that brings us nicely to the final point in my advice for you in maximizing your Grand Prix event scores. So the final point to have is to change your car setup and your drivers according to the race and obviously the race situation. Or I guess the track and the race situation. So first of all, with the track, you're usually going to have a setup. 1 second. Oh no, just let that guy pass me. That isn't good. Let me pass him back. Oh boy, that's annoying. But basically, you're going to have a setup which has a more grip and one setup which will have more aero. And if you don't really know, don't worry, I will explain the different car stats in a video coming up very soon. But I don't know, if you do, then usually for all the tracks, most of the tracks at least, you want to focus on aero. But then for the tracks on Series 7, which are Monaco, Singapore, and Baku, you're going to want to focus more on grip. So obviously, you're going to have some grip tracks and some aero tracks, and I just listed the 3 grip tracks. You're going to want to increase your grip, obviously, for those tracks when you do encounter them, and obviously make sure you know when they come up, and you look at the track that you're going to be racing on before you actually enter the duel, so you'll be much better prepared, strategy-wise, setup-wise, and finally, driver-wise. So I made, I guess, a little bit of a mistake, and that's why Bottas is doing so badly right now. So if you notice, sometimes I always use Perez, but sometimes in some races I'll use Bottas, and in some other races I'll be using Grosjean. And this is because Bottas is amazing in the dry, and if you've seen, he's outperformed Perez in pretty much almost every race that has been dry. But his big weakness is wet weather driving. So in the races with a higher chance of rain, I'll often sub in Grosjean. Grosjean is decent, but he usually qualifies a lot lower than Bottas, which makes it so then if the race is eventually dry, then it's not very good because I'm using Grosjean, which is at a bit of a disadvantage in the dry to Bottas. But obviously, there was a 10% chance of rain. It was quite unlikely, but it happened during qualifying, so that's why Bottas was all the way down. So generally, for races with a higher chance of rain, switch to your drivers which are best in the wet weather. And maybe this is a little bit more advanced, but on tracks where tire management is a bit more crucial, I guess switch to drivers with good tire management. Basically, play to the driver's strengths. Put the drivers that are best suited to that certain track, and drivers that are good in the rain when the chance of rain is high. And I know this may have been a bit confusing, but just to summarize it all, Grand Prix events, the matches itself are the exact same as regular duels. The only difference is that, there is a lot less room for error. So you're going to need to focus, make sure that you're, oh shoot, Bottas is out of tires. But you gotta make sure that you're always planning ahead. You know what strategy you're gonna use. You know what boost you're gonna use. You know which drivers you're gonna put. It's just all about preparation, and a good opportunity is to prepare for the final round in the opening round. So make sure you can practice your strategies, see which ones work or not in the qualifying and opening round, so that if you're lucky enough to make the final round, you can minimize mistakes and get the best possible prize. Hello everyone, and obviously now the Grand Prix event has finished, and as you can see, the final result was 16th place and 464 points. So that is actually a pretty good score. I only was 6 points off of a perfect score. I am quite happy with that, to be honest. I know it was only 16th place, but it was definitely a really pretty stacked group. I mean, I've seen a lot of times where 464 points is actually good enough for first place, and you know, at that point, it's just a matter of luck, to be honest. If you get a perfect score, like the races where I didn't get the full amount of points were usually when, you know, I just got stuck behind the people on hard tires. That's usually what it is. But let's now open the crate. Let's see what we get. Obviously, I got the finalist medal. 46 million coins. Useless to me. 25 hex boosts. Useful. Downforce boosts also. And now all the commons, I really don't get anything because they're already at the max level. So this is all quite unfortunate. But now as we get to the rares, let's see what we get. Oh boy, WT, not very good. 38 on Charles Leclerc. I mean, I guess it's good, but I don't really use him. And finally, oh boy, I've got this one so much. So, yeah, guys, in the end, it was not the best prize, but I was really happy that I was able to do this Grand Prix event and do this video. I hope that you learned at least one or two things about how to increase your score in Grand Prix events. So, that is the video. I hope, you know, it didn't come across as too rambly or just all over the place. As you know, this is only my second video. I'm still getting used to this, but I really hope that you did enjoy it. And if you did, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel Mastermind F1 Manager. And don't worry, guys, over the next few days, I will be coming up with some more great videos. So be sure to stay tuned for that. But yeah, good luck in the rest of your duels. Let's see. Hopefully you guys can implement some of these tips that I've given you so far. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.